Hello and welcome to Party Select, where two dudes and a guy who's their friend talk about the best thing there is, video games. My name is Shay. I will be your host for this episode of Game Select. I am joined as always by Cody. What's up, dude?
I hate this part. I never know. I feel like I always say like the same three things for this part.
I agree, because we're always like talking about something before we record, and so it feels like we're switching into like on mode.
I'm turned
Kyle,
on.
Are you on? Is Kyle on? Are you turned on, my brother?
Oh, that's a good bit.
Oh, now I'm on. Okay. Hey, guys.
I think you're muted. Can you guys see my screen?
Oh God.
Can you guys see this? Hold on. No, I've got to hit the power button.
Cheryl,
help! Call Sam. He's good with technology.
Now we make a new PowerPoint slide.
Now we have a fictional Cheryl and Sam in our Party Select universe.
We should do that. We should make like a presentation for one of these and present our thoughts on the game.
That's fun. Yeah,
that would be, and it doesn't need to be for Game Select, but that would be very stupid.
It would be
and
really dumb. That sounds fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm down with that.
But you guys are both the graphic designers. I would have a bunch of text blocks that are just like colored. You guys would do the fancy shit.
Just use AI to make it, bro. Get Grok to spin up your
use
PowerPoint.
Copilot. Can you make me a really cool image of John Halo next to Ditto?
Nice.
Hey, what are we here to do?
We're here to talk about video games.
Oh, okay.
Which is what I'm doing.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I'm sorry.
Don't you guys remember John Halo?
Barely.
No, we're here to talk about a specific video game called Replaced, which is newish. The way we do these game selects is we pick a game, all three of us play it, and then we meet back up to give our thoughts about the game while showing off some of the game. It's an incredibly unique concept that no one else really is doing on the internet.
They haven't cracked that nut, but we have.
Yeah, we are
pushing the boundaries.
We are innovators.
Mm-hmm.
We are thought leaders.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we're here to talk about Replaced. We've all put a decent amount of time into it. Cody, did you beat it?
I did.
You beat it. Okay. Neither Kyle nor I beat it, which I think we'll probably get into some of the reasoning behind that and maybe logic behind that. But the way that I like to do this is like we give our high level thoughts each, because we are not talking about this game. Like, we haven't talked about it amongst the three of us. We maybe have said things in our Discord chat that like, I think maybe Kyle hates this game, or like
it's hard
like
to not give something away. Yeah.
Yeah. But we intentionally don't talk, and that's all we do all the time is talk about video games in Discord. So we intentionally not talk about these things. Yeah. So this is like our first exposure to each other's opinions. So maybe, Cody, since you finished it, what's your elevator pitch? Actually, yeah, give me the elevator pitch on what Replaced is, and then we can get into kind of how we're feeling about it.
Replaced is, at its core, Replaced is a 2D platformer, specifically not a Metroidvania platformer, just sort of a 2D action. I even hesitate to say action platformer.
We call it like a narrative action platformer.
Narrative. Yeah. Yes. The moment to moment isn't super action, but there is combat. So that's why I even hesitate to say action platformer.
Kind of the triangle of activities is like story, conversation, some platforming, and some combat. Those are kind of the three main things you're doing.
But none of them exist within the same triangle because none of them happen at the same time.
Correct.
Which I think is fairly normal. I don't know how much normal story you would get while you're fighting dudes. What do you mean they're not?
Well, there's also there's no platforming during the fighting. And there's no platforming during story. Like, they're all very separate.
not arena-based
Yeah.
combat, but
It
arena-based
is.
combat.
It is. Yeah,
I mean,
would say
yeah, it's
that.
just a flat plane
Yes.
that you fight dudes on.
You
Yes.
can't leave until you beat them all.
But I mean, honestly, outside of its style, which it is oozing with, that's pretty much what the game is.
Yeah.
Is that?
Yeah, I think
at the highest level.
Certainly of those 3 triangles or points on a triangle or pillars, whatever analogy you want to use, the story part is the thing they cared the most about.
Yeah.
That is the most engaging aspect. You don't
Of
agree?
Of those three, yes.
Yes.
Of those 3, yes. Of elements of a game, I don't think so. No.
Well, yeah, I think the visual style is like the most
everything was
thing.
put into that. Everything was put into that.
Yeah.
Because and that, frankly, that's the only thing that this game nails.
Yeah. I agree. I'm very, well, not very. I am into the story. I am reaching a point. I'm probably in between a third and halfway through the game. I am reaching a point where I'm starting to get frustrated by the mystery. Like, I want to know what's going on a little bit more than I do.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that stuff will be revealed because I know how stories work, but the breadcrumbs need to be turned more into slices of bread, or at least a crescent roll, you know?
Yeah. I liked the initial setup because it's a bit of a unique twist on the cyberpunk general themes, where it's the AI has, and this is the very first thing that happens in the game, the AI has taken over the human's body, and like the human's consciousness is either suppressed or overwritten or gone or whatever. So like the AI is like trying to get to a place where it could potentially like bring the human back. And so it's the AI kind of trying to interact with all of these human characters and maybe becoming a little more human itself throughout the process of it. But the backdrop is very like dystopian cyberpunk. And I thought like initially that was compelling, but yeah, I played for about 2.5-3 hours, which is about a third of the game. Or maybe closer to half, maybe. It never really evolved much past that. So like I don't, Cody, how do you feel about the answers the game gave or where it went towards the end?
I could give a shit about the story. I quite frankly, it never, like in my experience with it, the like I said, the only thing that really resonated with me was the look. I was buying in when I started it for sure. But the game is pretty long, a lot longer than you want it to be for how not engaging the gameplay is.
Right.
It really drags, and when it drags, it for me made me just less and less and less interested in the story.
Yeah, that's fair. Because there's a segment where like you're in a town pretty early on after your kind of first hectic sequence of events and combat and platforming. Then you're in like a town and you're kind of walking around talking to people, doing some little fetch questy things around town. And like that was so slow because you can't sprint.
I know. I was going to say, like, I feel like part of the reason it feels slow is it literally is.
It is a slow game. It is very
the
slow.
movement is slow,
and paired with and I, they released a patch which supposedly fixed maybe some of this. I played pre and post that patch. I didn't really notice a change, but is really bad checkpoints, like really punishing checkpoints. So then like having to do certain things multiple times when you fail a platforming, or like having to move a box to do a jump, but then you fail the next jump, and then the checkpoints before you move the box, you got to move that box again, and everything is so slow that adds to the already slow and dragging game. And again, it looks really good and it sounds really good.
Awesome.
The music is awesome.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's really what pushed me through. That is the only thing that kept me going.
The difficulty I'll give with the look though is it has that, like, it's so pulled out, you lose a lot of detail that is necessary to the gameplay. Like
Totally.
the zoomed out look makes the platforming hard because I'm
so
like, I
hard.
can't tell, am I supposed to jump to this? There's a section
very
where
unclear.
and I imagine there are several sections like these where there's sort of a like a sniper in the distance and you're sneaking through and platforming through and its red light is going by. And there were many times where I was like, I got caught by the light, where I was like, it didn't look like it was on me. And I think it's because of the perspective and how zoomed out it was. Yeah, I think the platforming isn't interesting to start with. It's very
Right.
much Uncharted
never
level
gets-
where you just go from thing to thing. The thing that makes Uncharted's platforming okay is you're getting a lot of story and character and conversations and stuff typically. This game, there's none of that. It's just silence with music.
The one
And
thing I
it's
will
very
say
easy fail states.
about navigation, I don't know if either of you got to the point, but you do unlock a double jump. And
Okay. I was
that
wondering
is
about that.
the way
Yeah.
they use that is sometimes interesting, but that's
Okay.
about as far as that goes.
Well, yeah, well,
yeah.
and it's like so like a lot of the platforming will be like really easy and attainable, and then randomly out of nowhere, there's like this really hard to execute, like super precision, like you need highly precision jump stuff, and like with again, like Shay said, with the perspective, the way it's zoomed out, the way the character kind of over animates and kind of feels sluggish. It's really hard
Yes.
to attain that precision, and with the punishing checkpoints, you end up redoing a lot of these platforming sections, and I found that to be really frustrating. Hey folks, it's Kyle from the editing room. Just wanted to get out ahead of something. The game has actually been updated a couple times since Cody and I played it. They've addressed some of the combat issues. So the footage that Cody and I captured earlier today of me recording this little interstitial includes those new updates. So like a lot of the things that we're complaining about with like the timing of the combat, animation, iframes, stuff canceling in the middle of you trying to do it, a lot of those things have been ironed out. They also overhauled the checkpoint system. So some of the more negative points that we're talking about that we're going to bring up in our conversation, those have actually been patched, and it seems like the developer is continually working on it. So if you're looking at this video as like a means to try and decide if you want to purchase the game, maybe do a little bit of research into the update cadence and the content of previous updates, and make sure that's something that you'd be interested in. But just wanted to throw that caveat out there so you're not going to like see our feedback or play the game and you have like a wildly different experience, like what the hell are these dudes talking about. They've had some patches. So back to the video. And that's actually when I dropped. That's when I stopped playing. I hit like a
almost
really long
quit.
platforming section.
I think with the Steam things coming out.
Yep.
I almost quit. I failed like 10 times on a timing thing and had to go back to the beginning of it each time.
Yep.
And I almost quit. And I went through and I'm like, I'm glad. So I guess it's worth saying I intend to finish this. There's enough there in the story that is interesting to me, and it's not an overly long game. I understand, Cody, and I'm curious to hear more about where it feels drawn out. But like, there's parts of this that I am very much into, that I want to finish it because I'm curious. But I almost stopped that last night when I was playing because of that platforming.
I think
It's not good.
another contributor to its pace feeling sluggish. I think this game could have really benefited from voice acting, like really benefited, like having to read all the text. And there's quite a bit of text in like the cutscenes and dialogue. That just adds to the slowness of it, having to sit there and read everything.
It's because in most conversations you can't advance the text. That's the problem. Yeah. Like, I play tons of games that are predominantly text-based dialogue. I have zero issue with that. One of my favorite games last year, Citizen Sleeper 2, is exclusively, it's like a fucking choose-your-own-adventure novel. It's just giant paragraphs on the side of the screen. I can super get into that. The problem is, when I can read it and finish it, and then I have to wait for like a second and a half more, at least, every single time, that's brutal. Let me skip to let me advance the text, even if that means there's no text for like 5 seconds as they're finishing their animation. That's totally fine. That's what normal video games do. It's crazy. But yeah, it makes the whole thing feel so drawn out. I've been playing a lot of Pokemon ROM hacks, and I put on like 5x speed to train people and whatever. I was desperate for like a fast forward button
Yeah.
for so much of what I was doing in this game.
Yeah. I do want to touch on one more visual element before I wanna talk about the combat.
Yeah.
Something another thing, like obviously the whole game looks beautiful, but something I was extra impressed was the menu, the the sort of
so
Game Boy like thing.
Yeah, where he
with,
like
how
scrolls
the
with his
thumb
thumb.
animates. It all
Yeah.
looks really, really good.
That's cool.
And also for the audience, and I don't know if you are both aware, but this is the studio's first ever game. So I mean,
Right.
there are some lessons learned hopefully here, and maybe their follow up will improve on all this. But so the combat. Again, at a high level, and I obviously since beating it, I'd had all the shit that you unlock for the combat, and I will say that is the one place in the game that evolves the most throughout the game. They give you a lot of things. I was surprised by when that works, which it often didn't, but when it works, meaning everything is working as I think their idea and their intention was. It was as satisfying to me as Ghost of Yotei. Like chaining everything together. Like I'm blocking this guy, I'm cutting this guy's shield down. There's an ability where if someone's shooting you, you can block their bullet and shoot it back at the net. Like it's so free flowing and all these different moves. And when it would work, when I was able to execute those, not by what I believe was a skill issue, there were times when I'd be shot and I'd have the little indicator above my head or whatever, and I'd hit the button, but maybe there's not animation canceling. So, I was still doing a last thing. So I hit the button, but I still got shot. But when it would work, it felt very good. It is very, very satisfying and very punchy. But that's probably my biggest thing about the combat is it was very high and very low for me.
I felt a lot of sluggishness in the combat too, Kyle, to your point on like how the character feels sluggish, where it felt like the controls at times felt kind of unresponsive. Like it felt like I was hitting a button, but nothing was happening.
Yeah, that happens a lot.
That's not the whole time, because I agree, when you're in that flow state, it's very much Arkham Light style combat where you're pivoting from dude to dude and interacting and yeah, totally. You're parrying and dodging and rolling past a guy so you can get him from behind. That part of it, I think, flows and works really well.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that the game continues to add mechanics. Because, like, when you start, they give you the ability to shoot your gun, which is essentially like a one-shot KO, but you have to build that over time by attacks. I've unlocked the pickaxe, which allows you to break through a heavy shield. And so hearing that there's more stuff, I think, is good.
There's like maybe 4 or 5 more things you get.
Okay, that's great. And like they introduced a new enemy type that you have to parry in order to do damage to.
Right.
That progression I think is pretty well handled. But I think the biggest problem is at the end of the day, you're just on a flat plane dodging and parrying. You're not moving in a 3D space the way you are in Batman. You can't jump. Like there's a light and heavy attack, but there aren't combos per se, at least where I was in the game. Maybe they give you some of that stuff later, but there isn't quite enough going on to make it interesting every time.
That will change. By the end of the game, you're doing like 3 or 4 different things, like doing this, doing that, and
that's fair. I've done 15 to 20 combat scenarios, and I'm feeling kind of like, all right, I get it here. So, like maybe they needed to dole out some of that stuff earlier. Would be my feedback.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say
I don't dislike the combat.
For another sort of quirk I had with the combat, and it sort of is because of their visual style. So the way the combat works is you'll have like anywhere from like 3 to 4 active enemies at a time that you're fighting, but there are more enemies waiting in the background. When the arena's a little dark, it often got hard to tell who is in the foreground and who is in the background. I liked the visual idea there, but it made it sort of difficult. Like I would often punch at an enemy who was actually in the background thinking that they were an active enemy. That happened pretty frequently, especially toward the end. There's a lot of dark areas, and that happened a lot.
I kind of wonder if that was by design to add to like the freneticness and confusion of combat, because like you're supposed to feel pretty overwhelmed during combat with everything that you're doing. So like I kind of wonder if they want you to feel that way, but it can be frustrating to hit a guy that's actually behind you. I'll say, like, going back a little bit to the movement and traversal, there are tons of sections where you move in 3D space. Like you're on like lanes, right? And you'll be on a middle lane and there'll be a stairwell to like go down, and then you're on this feature for like closer lane and vice versa. I feel like that stuff adds nothing.
It reminds
to
me of the
exploration.
PlayStation 1 Hercules game.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, the only thing it's missing is the actual like Crash Bandicoot style, where like
I was just about to say, I wish they would have done. I wish they would have done more with perspective. Like, I wish there would have been like an alley that you're walking this way, down. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been very cool. Like, because clearly they had 3D spaces that your 2D character was in. So just to change that perspective a little bit would have been, I don't know.
And I like the layered feel. Like, it feels pretty immersive, and a lot of 2D games that I've really loved will have that. Like a game, Neva from a year or two ago, was really good at that. The difference is that was strictly a 2D game, and this game, everything has geometry, or a lot of it has geometry, where it isn't just 2D stuff. It's actual like 3D elements on a 2D plane, which is part of what gives it the cool, unique visual style.
Right.
But it also makes it a little bit confusing to navigate at times.
Right. Yep. That's how I feel.
But yeah, I think
I'm glad that the story is doing something for you.
Right.
I will say, had I known what the game had in store for me, I would have stopped after a couple hours. Not because of like a story reason or anything, just because of my overall feel for what the game was.
Yeah.
And it was just kind of that, more of that, and more of that, and more of that.
Right.
It never, like, I had expectations, and I was always hoping that it was gonna, rise to those, and it never did. And had I known how I would feel by the end of the game, I would not have, I don't want to say suffered through it, but I would not have completed, certainly wouldn't have completed it.
That's a bummer to hear. So I'm playing on Steam Deck. I don't play my Steam Deck very often. So that's part of it too, is like, it's been nice to sit on my couch downstairs in the living room with a pillow and play handheld. Like I never do that. And so that was part of my impetus to like keep playing through it. But that doesn't build a ton of desire knowing that while the combat might get more interesting, it doesn't really go
the visuals maintain fucking awesome all the way through. There are a couple of really cool scenes. I do like how they do it a couple times. It's a bit overplayed by the end, but I like how sometimes your character will fall and then the camera, like, it'll blur and like sort of shake. I think like the cinematography is pretty good, like, all things considered. There's a city area toward the end of the game that I think looks really awesome, that I would honestly love a whole game. And I don't know, like the visuals, the look of it always impressed me to the very end. But by the end, that was not enough to make me have enjoyed my time with
it. Feel worth it.
Yeah.
I don't know. If I can find something else to play on Steam Deck, maybe not, but it has been nice to have an excuse to actually hold that console in my hands that I spent all that money on.
Yeah.
Because I don't have a PC like you guys, so that's my only exposure to the PC side. But there is a lot of other stuff coming out. So that,
for what it's worth, my final time was 9.6 hours.
Yeah, that's not that bad. I probably have around 4.
But God, it felt like 18. I tell you what.
Yeah.
Because you're moving at half the speed of characters in every other game.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are sections where your character is sprinting, which I enjoyed. And it's very simple, like you're jumping over like logs or whatever. But I feel like it does create, because you're so slow most of the time, it does create that frenetic sense in those little times where you're actually sprinting.
Yeah.
Anything else on Replaced? I feel like, I don't know. I personally didn't intend to be so overly negative coming into this, but that is kind of how I feel, because I was very frustrated playing last night.
Yeah.
like I'm pretty disappointed in this game, if I have to
Yes.
be brutal about it.
I would
was
love, like I
expecting
said,
more.
like this being their first game, I would love to see what a follow up to this.
Me
is.
too.
Yeah,
like
sure.
like I said, they were like narratively, I think they had a couple of interesting twists on that formula and the themes that are typically present in cyberpunk games. I really dig the visual style. I think they need another crack at that to make the interactable, the gameplay imperative elements pop out a bit more from
They
the
need
rest
the
of
yellow
environments.
paint on the edges.
Yeah,
Right,
like
yeah.
this game needs some more yellow paint for sure.
Yeah.
Because everything just kind of blends together because of the art style. But while I like the art style, I don't want them to change that, but find other ways to highlight the important elements. Better checkpoints, let us progress text. Yeah, a lot of little things.
And like the platforming is definitely a pacing mechanism, which a lot of
Yeah.
games use, and I understand why it's there, but it adds nothing. It's not compelling. It's
Like
not
find
fun.
a way to blend your triangle elements together. Like find a way to like get some more story out of the combat. Include some platforming
Shay, you
in the
mentioned those
combat.
sprinting sections, which are usually when you're being chased. They don't ever do something like you're platforming, quickly because something's chasing you. Like that's a narrative way to incorporate, two of those
Yeah.
points of the triangle together.
Yeah.
I mean, that
Right.
never happens.
How like if they were to make another one of these in the combat, make it more like a Super Smash Brothers stage where there are platforms that you can fight and move between.
Yeah, or like don't
add
let
some of
combat
that.
be relegated to your little arenas. Like have it be
Right.
paced throughout the game. Yeah,
Yeah, you're right, Kyle. There are ideas here, and the visual style on its own is like super impressive. And the music, like you said, Cody, earlier, like the music is really, really good, but the video game parts are unilaterally pretty lackluster.
yeah.
I
It
believe.
feels kind of safe from that perspective,
Or just
of
like
the gameplay
like
elements.
101.
Yeah, like they maybe they didn't have the resources, or they didn't want to be overly ambitious on their first project, and so like they're like, we're gonna work on the combat, and this is where the combat happens. We're gonna work on the platforming.
Yeah.
This is where the platforming is gonna happen, and so like getting more creative now that they have their druthers, and
Right.
blending them a bit more in more interesting ways to kind of spice up the experience a bit would be good.
It did make me want to go back and play Cyberpunk again. I just that Cyberpunk vibe is so up my alley. I love that shit.
I like how grungy this one is.
Totally.
Because like
well, in that
Cyberpunk
section where you
is
quit,
grungy.
Kyle, the like termite layer that's in the
Yeah,
subway,
yeah.
it is very, very dank.
I love
Right.
how the
Dark.
termites just have like Tim and
Yeah.
Craig.
Yeah,
termite,
names.
termite Tim, and
Yeah. Pretty good.
Good boss fight at the end of that level. I'm like excited to see more boss fights because I thought that was pretty fun and switched up the
That
combat
was
in
Uncle
a pretty
Ben,
good way.
right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That was hard. I struggled on that on the normal difficulty.
So I through one of your advice, I'm playing on easy, and it doesn't trivialize the combat in that I don't have to think about it, but it like gives you more health packs, and I think they reset after every combat thing. So like I've never died during combat, but I'm happy making that decision because the game is so slow. I would not want to add on top of that dying a couple of times.
And Uncle Ben
during
is
combat.
2 phases or two you
phases,
have to fight him twice. If you
Yeah.
die during the second one, you're doing that whole fucking thing over again, which again, it's slow. Everything is slow. On normal, you don't do as much damage. That took me for fucking ever. So I beat that one on normal, and then after at the second boss, I kept dying over and over and over again. And again, it's a long ass fucking fight. So I was like, all right, I'm not doing this. I'm just going down to easy. And didn't die after that, except for some platforming shit. So
zero shame in that. Is when the game isn't about that. There's nothing. Yeah.
When the platinum doesn't require it, then we'll.
There you go. Well, all right, that's replaced. Ugh, I feel icky like saying negative stuff about a game. I don't know. Maybe I'm getting old.
Too. It looks fucking awesome.
Yeah, that's true. It does. It looks incredible.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would say like in terms of a recommendation, you're going to know what you're getting into based on this conversation. If you are a sucker for that cyberpunk stuff and are interested by the hook, that sounds like maybe it doesn't resolve that hook in the best way, but it is, you need some patience, I think, to make it through. Because
there are going
to
be pockets of pain that you need to kind of be able to push through. Like if that's something you find you are able to do versus other people can't do that all that easily, then maybe this one would be fine.
There is a demo. I did play the demo, and I was impressed by the demo. And this is the perfect game for Steam's refund policy. Play in like an hour and a half, and that is going to be your next 9 hours, roughly. Combat evolves a little more. But if you're good with what you're going to see in that first hour and a half, it is going to be that through the whole game, roughly.
Combat evolved. We're back to Halo. Back to John Halo.
Hey, there you
Hell
go.
yeah.
Bookending.
John Halo. It's worth mentioning also, we are doing another game select that, depending on when you're watching this, might already be live, or if you're watching it right when it comes out, it'll be out in a couple of days. We're going to do a game select on Mouse PI for Hire that we've all been playing. Excited to talk about that. Very different style of game, so that'll be fun to discuss because we haven't been talking about that one either amongst the group. So be sure to check that out. We've got lots of game selects, and a lot of times what we do on streams with our after party streams is we'll bring newer games that we're not doing a game select for and kind of show those off. We played some Pragmata, or Cody played some Pragmata just a little bit ago on one of those streams. So that's another good place to sort of get our takes on the latest and greatest releases. But thank you, boys, for chatting about some Replaced. I don't remember if I recommended this be a game select or how that came about, but
this is definitely
I maybe
game.
Regret that a little bit just because I've been pretty underwhelmed. But you don't know, you don't know until you play.
I was super on board with this game. Prior to launch.
I was very excited for it, and I'm pretty bummed. I would say I think the Metacritic or the Open Critic is like a 79, I think is where it's kind of settled, which I think is probably pretty fair because Open Critic tends to be inflated. Yeah. So it's got some stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank y'all for joining. Thanks everybody for watching and checking it out. Would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below if you've been playing Replaced. And also, if you got like recommendations for other things that we should be checking out over the next couple of weeks, would love to hear that. And like, if you enjoy the conversation, hit the like button, subscribe to all the stuff that you know that you're supposed to do that. You know what to do. But that's going to do it for this episode of Game Select, and we will see you in the next episode of whatever thing we want to do. Peace out.